Hi, I'm Gudrun from GE Designs and welcome to the part 4 of our Stella Quilt Along. This is our last step and it's time to put our blocks together to finish the quilt top. So we're going to start with kind of deciding what kind of layout we want. Not that there's many layouts, but if you have multiple colors or multiple fabrics, there's a few decisions to be made in the beginning. So you can choose to do kind of a color block layout where if you have a lot of colors, you can put the reds together, the greens together, like I'm showing here on the screen, the blues together to make it more kind of uniform. And that's a decision that you kind of have to make. And I recommend just lay out your block, try out different things, take a picture of it with your phone, and then look at it on your phone on a smaller scale. So this is the color block layout where you would group the colors together. If you like a more scrappy layout, you can also just mix it up and kind of put the colors together. But the idea here is we're always going to put the dark blocks together into the star and then the light blocks together. So I did this for my quilt that's hanging right behind me. I just mixed up the colors because I didn't have an even number of all the blues and the reds, so it wouldn't have worked to color block it, so I just mixed it up and that's kind of how I liked it. Now with the sample that I'm working with, I had all blues. So all my darks are blues ranging from a light blue to a dark blue. So I kind of tested it. I tried putting all the light blues together and then the dark blues, but I really didn't like it that way. I like to mix things up. I like things scrappy. So I am going with just mixing all my blues. So let's check it out. I have the first block laid out here down on my cutting mat or on my ironing board. So these are I'm going to start with my dark blocks. And so you want to put 4 together. And with me having all these multiple different fabrics, I just try to do different fabrics in all 4 blocks and then also in the light parts. So it kind of mixes things up. And also because some of my lights have a lot of pattern in them, I tried to kind of balance it out by placing some neutrals with it. So this will be 1 block. And so we're going to put these 4 together into a block before we put the whole quilt together. So I recommend just laying out all your blocks, and then once you're happy with the layout, you're going to just sew these 2 together. So I would just lay this on top of this one, and then these 2 go together. And how I like to feed these through my machine is I like to feed them this way. So with that short part of the star here, so I would actually just take this one, flip it over, and kind of make a stagger of all of my units in 2s and chain sew them all together. So once they are sewn together, we have 2 that are sewn together here. We're going to press them. So this would be like this. But we're going to press them always the same way. So as the book shows, we're pressing them towards the little part of the star. So we're going to start by taking our iron and kind of setting the seams by going over the seams. This will flatten out your seam. And then always press from the right side of the fabric. We're going to fold this out and then use your fingers to push it out, and then your iron will just follow. So same thing with the second part. We're ironing the same way towards the little part of the star. Set the seam and then push out. So this will result in, once you put the block together, if you press them the same way, this seam they're going opposite directions. So when you're going to sew these 2 together, you lay them together and you can nest these 2 seams, making sure they nest and lock in like this. Put 1 pin in there, and then you're going to sew this side into the full block. Now once that's done, we are actually going to press these 2 into a circle, or a spin the seams, what we call. So now we have these 2 sewn together, but we need to press these 2 seams, and we're going to spin the seams. So always what I do first is I check which direction, I open it up and which direction the seams are going. This is going this way and this is going this way. That means I want this seam to go that way and this seam to go that way. So again, I always start by setting the seams, and then I want to open it up. And this side is going this way, so I'm just going to press this way, but I'm not going to go into the middle. I'm going to kind of go up to it, but not into the middle. So this side goes this way, and then I turn my block. And this goes that way. So now we have all 4 seams kind of spinning or going in a circle. We'll check on the back. You see how they're going in a circle like this? This is what you want. And what will happen here, usually automatically, as you kind of push these seams down, that center will start to open. Sometimes you have to give that seam a little tug, and this center will just open and flatten out into a little 4-patch. So I just kind of put my iron on it to flatten that 4-patch out, and then I finish off by turning my block over and pressing that center really nice and flat. So the reason for doing that, first of all, whenever you have 4 seams coming together, this will make a really nice and flat center. It won't be bumpy for the quilting, so it really helps when you're quilting it, but it also is very helpful when you're putting the whole quilt together. So let's look at my quilt up here. So if you can just imagine, every seam is spinning this way, and if you pressed according to the directions, all your seams will be spinning the same way. So when we start putting the quilt together into rows, we're just going to alternate a light block and a dark block in the layout. And so when you put the blocks together, what will happen when you spin the seams this way, you never have to worry about it because all the seams are going to match everywhere because they're all spinning the same way. So it's a really great technique to use whenever you're putting together blocks that have any kind of 4-patch block, because you'll never have to worry about which direction I'm pressing because it'll all match when it comes together. So that's the last step. We just alternate our blocks, put our blocks lights and darks, and I have some of my lights done here. So now I'm excited to put it all together and get it done. So that's all for us for the Stella Quilt-A-Long. I hope your quilt will turn out amazing. Make sure to post a picture in the crew and watch out for that giveaway post. But thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time.